So we continue studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, and today's verse is text 55. न हि क्रमश्चेदिह मृत्युजन्म जन्मनोः शरीरिणाम् अस्तु तद् आत्मा कर्मभिः यस्नेह पाशो निज सर्ग वृद्धये स्वयं कृतस्ते तम इमं विव्रचसि न हि क्रमश्चेदिह मृत्युजन्मनोः शरीरिणामस्तु तदात्मकर्मभिः यस्नेह पाशो निज सर्ग वृद्धये स्वयं कृतस्ते तम इमं विव्रचसि न हि क्रमश्चेदिह मृत्युजन्मनोः शरीरिणामस्तु तदात्मकर्मभिः यस्नेह पाशो निज सर्ग वृद्धये स्वयं कृतस्ते तमिमं विव्रचसि स्वयं कृतस्ते तमिमं विव्रचसि न हि कृमश्चेदिह मृत्युजन्मनो शरीरिणामस्तु तदात्मकर्मभिः यस्नेह पाशो निज सर्ग वृद्धये स्वयं कृतस्ते तमिमं विव्रचसि वैष्णवीस न हि क्रमश्चेदिह मृत्युजन्मनो शरीरिणामस्तु तदात्मकर्मभिः यस्नेह पाशो निज सर्ग वृद्धये imam vivrasyachi na not he indeed krama chronological order chet if iha in this material world mrityu of death janmanoho end of birth sharirinam of the conditioned souls who have accepted material bodies astu let it be tat that atma karma bhi by the results of one's karma fruitive activities ya that which sneha pasa bondage of affection nija sarga your own creation vriddhaye to increase swayam personally. Krita, made. Te, by you. Tam, that. Imam, this. Vivrashchasi, you are cutting. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki. My Lord, you say that there is no law that a father must die in the lifetime of his son, and that a son must be born in the lifetime of his father, since everyone lives and dies according to his own fruitive activity. However, if fruitive activity is so strong that birth and death depend upon it, there is no need of a controller or God. Again, if you say that the controller is needed because the material energy does not have the power to act, one may answer that if the bonds of affection you have created are disturbed by fruitive action, no one will raise children with affection. Indeed, everyone will cruelly neglect his children. Since you have cut the bonds of affection that compel a parent to raise his child, you appear inexperienced and unintelligent. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. One who has taken to Krishna consciousness devotional service is not affected by the results of karma. In this verse, karma has been stressed on the basis of karma mimamsa philosophy, which says that one must act according to his karma and that a supreme controller must give the results of karma. The subtle laws of karma, which are controlled by the Supreme, cannot be understood by ordinary conditioned souls. Therefore, Krishna says that when one can Therefore Krishna says that one who can understand him and how he is acting, controlling everything by subtle laws, immediately becomes freed by his grace. That is the statement of Brahma Samhita, Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Cha Bhakti Bhajam. One should take to devotional service without reservations and surrender everything to the supreme will of the Lord. That will make one happy in this life and the next. वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमेक पुरुष पुराना श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीर धारी कृपा बुधिर्य तमहं प्रपद्ये मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम् वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Kindly bless us so we can discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, the highest attainment for one's life, one's ultimate goal and purification. So continuing with this study of Srimad Bhagavatam, King Chitraketu's lamentation, and every episode is very fascinating, and here at this time it is the queen who is saying this very interesting thing we see. So in spiritual settings, mm, um, when there is like grieving of like this, grieving someone passes away, uh, lots to learn. And naturally, how the mood of the society is, how the society works, how the society functions when someone passes away. In spiritual settings and outside of spiritual settings, also in general, the generally the first emotion that comes about is like denial. People go in denial mode. If I hear some upsetting news or something, I tend to deny it. No, this cannot be true. Such and such passed away at a young age. No, tell me this is not true. This cannot be true. Or any upsetting news for that matter. There was a burglar in the house. No, this cannot be true. This cannot happen to me. So we tend to deny. We want to shy away from the reality, or we go in a denial mode. And once we somewhat recuperate with denial mode, then comes next anger. Come to the reality, okay, house is burgled, some burglary is done. I've come to some reality that someone has passed away. I've come to some reality, okay, that such a thing had happened. And I didn't expect it, I didn't desire it, I didn't want it. So first I tend to deny. And when I recuperate with denial, then I go in angry mode, anger. Why? Why did this happen? Why? And we see here the queen and the maidservants. Oh, I mean, Bhagavatam is so live. If we can visualize it, the maidservants there who went to visit the boy, and she like maybe trying to deny, perhaps, oh no, this is not true, this cannot happen. No. And then when she like the queen got to know, queen is currently in a very angry mood, very angry mood. That this cannot be true, this cannot be happen. Why this? Why? There are two things I say. Like one is um, asking God. When angry, God, who are you? So currently she's like challenging, or God, who are you? Another thing is, how many times do we ask God, how are you? How many times do we ask practicing Krishna consciousness, Krishna, how are you? And how many times do I ask Krishna, who are you? Or God, who are you? Or doesn't matter one is a theist or atheist. Generally, if we check ourselves, how many times do I challenge or ask, or that angry mood, who are you? And who do you think you are? Or who are you? And how many times do I ask, how are you? That is care, concern, when I actually ask, how are you? When I genuinely mean it, or even if not genuinely, still when I ask, how are you? And it brings a level of like wavelength, somewhat heart to heart connection, because I see my condition, okay, I'm a bit struggling, not in good health, say, and then if I ask someone, how are you? Straight away there is some humility, there is some uh, heart to heart connection. Say. So in anger, we ask, who are you? Rarely do we ask, how are you? So here the queen, in very angry mood, that why did this happen to me? Why me? What wrong did I do? And you are inexperienced, you appear inexperienced and unintelligent. And this is a upon curse, or say upon God. Why this thing? And once we deal with anger, then next comes doing some negotiation or some bargaining. See again, say house got burgled, lost my job, say, or death, someone close died, passed away. Then negotiation with God. Why had you to take my son? Why not me? My son is just 1 year old, 2 year old, 1 month old, 5 year old. You should have taken me. Why not my son? Why did you stole things from, say, my wife's wardrobe? Why didn't you take my things? Why this? Why not? Why did you have to take my job in this way? Could you not have done it that way? So next comes is like somewhat negotiation, somewhat striking some deal, some conditions with God. Why like this? And this is true in, you say, in argumentative settings also. We have conflicts, some arguments, some dealings. Doesn't matter again, atheist or atheist. Doesn't matter. In general settings, denial is what one we want to go, and soon angry mode, and then soon what? There's negotiation. Why not like this? Why like that? Could have done it like that. Could have done like that. This could have is a very interesting thing. Could have my life could all be stuck in the entire life. When say if I happen to be turning 90 one day, the still life could have been. A prime minister could have done this, right? He could have done like that. This could have is a very dangerous mentality. And where do I stand? should be living, should have or could have. So the queen here, she's like in angry mood. And then negotiation comes later on. Why my son? Why not me? Why my son-in-law? Why not me? On those lines. And once one is recuperated with anger also, once anger is a bit subdued, calm down. Once one is a bit subdued or recuperated, recovered say from negotiation, then comes depression, sadness, or sobbing or crying. And very much in grieving process. This is why in cultured setting, like the grieving process generally in India, say like 13 days of there is mourning process. In UK also in places that days for mourning process, and it is to emphasize on the value of this human form of life. And that those 13 days, family members, friends, relatives come together and see that to begin with, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and assess one's life's goal, aspirations, where are we heading, what do we want to do. Generally, in Indian settings, a priest comes then, and in the morning, grievance time, he reads from Garuda Puran and other Puranas, and that reading is okay. It is for the benefit of the person who passed away, but more so, it is for the benefit of the audience who is there to listen out of it. Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, Sukdev Goswami, them are all anyways pure devotees of Krishna. It is their kindness, their mercy, their blessing that they are giving us. And this is for my personal benefit to take it on. So then comes the stage of depression or crying or sobbing. That yes, this has happened. I cannot deny it. I will not deny it anymore. And well, I've done with my anger. I've vented out. And okay, enough of negotiation as well. Now do what? Cry, depressed. And depression and crying also more. There's an element of self-centeredness also there. Now what will happen to me once my son is passed away? How can I live? My husband has passed away. How can I live? My husband has passed away. How can I live? My daughter passed away. My wife passed away. How can I live? How can I function? How can I go back to job? How can I go to life? So that depression very much crying. And once one again is recuperating or coming to terms with depression and settle down, finally comes what? Finally comes acceptance. Acceptance. Yes, I accept this reality. Uh, Finally comes acceptance, and it is only when I accept, when I come to terms to reality, come to terms with acceptance, only then I can move forward in life. Only then I can take a next step in life. If at all I'm stuck in denial mode, if at all I'm stuck in anger mode, in depression mode, or negotiation mode, I cannot move forward in life. No. And how do we come to terms to acceptance? How do we come to terms to this reality? Only when we take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Only then. This is what Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says, right? Krishna says, like, asochan anvasocastam pragyanvadam shabhasasa gatasuna gatasumsha na anusochanti pandita. You are lamenting for something which is not worth lamenting. You are crying for something which is not worth crying. Further places, come to terms with reality and accept. And acceptance would come about when we take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Tatya anukampam susamikshamana. Bhunjana ivatma kritam vipakam. So when I accept that whatever is ordained is by the will of providence, by the will of universe, by the will of Krishna. But that acceptance just come about like that, right? For that to come about, I have to be in a relationship with Krishna. I have to be in a relationship, and relationship by say default, the relationship means it has to be a loving relationship. It has to be a loving relationship. Then we can come to acceptance, comes with acceptance in life, and then move on, move further. The queen here, them here, The whole maid servants, the king going through this grievous process. Another interesting things in this process, na? Because our reality in life is very much in line, in tune with expectations, with my personal expectations, and that may not be in tune with the real reality of life. So wherever there is a clash of expectations with the real reality, it is always troubling, it is always hurting. And this is why Krishna teaches us that come to acceptance level, Arjuna. And when we take Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we can shift kind of from my personal expectation to acceptance. Desires are a heavy thing, karma is a heavy thing. Shall I say one more thing? What is the most played game in this world? The most played game, the most uh, practiced game, and yes, bro, football. No, even football falls short, I would say. The most played game, the most practiced game, and many love it also. Very much followed. Yes, bro. It's the blame game. Blame game. And so easy to put a point finger on others, so easy to blame someone. And here, God, you appear inexperienced and unintelligent. It is very easy to blame someone, uh, maybe someone who is higher up the rank, so easy to blame the prime minister. So easy to blame someone who is higher up the rank, the king, queen, and all. Because uh, politicians, they get really lot of listening from people in general, I feel. Celebrities and also very easy to put a finger on someone else, very easy to blame someone, easy to blame child, also easy to blame elderly as well, and not taking more initiative, more responsibility, more understanding. And because I'm carrying lack of knowledge, all this boils down because I do not live in a relationship with Krishna, because I do not understand, is there more to life than matter? Hmm? Who is the life of the universe? Because I do not understand that. Does life come from matter or life comes from life? The basic foundation is very shaky, uh, because I live in a big time misidentification crisis. Am I this body or a spirit soul? And because then the foundation of life is set up about on shaky grounds, then there are going to cracks come about, and blame game is going to be played very much. But someone who is a bit transcendentally awake, or who wants to be awakened, who is a bit spiritually awakened, wants to be awakened, things person would not entertain in his life, or strive, make efforts to not entertain in his life, is blame game. No, for a devotee, it doesn't suit blame game. No, not at all. Claiming mentality. Nah, it doesn't suit a devotee to claim, oh, I claim this position, I claim this, I've been for these many years practicing devotional service, do you know? So claim, I have my claim kind of. No, claiming mentality is not the claim mentality of the soul proper. And this is why I do not experience happiness, because I'm stuck in blame game, claim game, defending. Again, this is not the quality of a soul to prove, to defend, hmm, to justify, to explain, to show, to demonstrate. All these are not at all. They do not at all fit in with Trinadapi Sunichena Tororapi Sahishnuna. Amanina Mandena Kirtanya Sadahari. Nowhere at all it fits in with that. And I need to assess on a daily basis if I can remember day one when I came into Krishna consciousness, when I met devotees, met books, met prasadam, the day one. My faith may not be there in day one, taking into Krishna consciousness, but gradually a time would have come when it naturally coincided, it naturally synced in with my faith. in practicing Krishna consciousness. So if I can always keep that in mind, say initial days in practicing Krishna consciousness, why did I take into practicing Krishna consciousness? Generally, also, I find when we take into Krishna consciousness or take into ISKCON, first we may be wary, which is fair enough, because institution or people, you don't know what happens behind the curtain, so many things. Uh, I am such a conditioned person. I don't chant, I don't read, I don't associate with devotees, no proper clue of life, but I try judging others. Oh, look at him, look at her, how good they are, and all. So initially, this may come about that no, I want something pure. But I myself am not pure. I do not understand what is purity, but I want something pure. Shishi Koranta Mayapur Sachi ki jai. Uh, And when I go on the other side of the fence, as in when I take into practicing Krishna consciousness, then I lose kind of checking myself in terms of my integrity, purity, and further on my devotion. So it is always, I personally find it the when I somewhat it interlinked with my heart practicing Krishna consciousness, I should always ask myself, why in the first place did I take into this practice? Why in the first place did I have such a makeover? Such a complete makeover. Even many artists do not struggle to have this sort of makeover, this makeup and everything. So why in the first place did I go with this? And is the aim I started with and the aim I have, are they still there? Because naturally, I think when we started, say, we started to becoming pure, we started to serve, we started to, oh no, bring about a change, and this is the thing, liberation, this is the thing, Prabhupada's books and everything. Yes. No, I don't want. I want to be humble very much. Initial days of Trinadapi Sunichina strikes so much. But later on in the path somewhere, where do I stand now? So going back to basics, Krishna consciousness is going back to basics as in coming to my original reality, original consciousness. Otherwise, there's hundreds and thousands of reasons to get deviated or to blame or to not take responsibility or uh, to find faults and so many excuses. Again, like devotees say, right? Um, Especially book distribution is very good. It helps understand the mood of the society. Book distribution gauge the pulse of the society. Now, distributing books, trying to give a book to someone, people come and say, I cannot take this for such and such a reason and all. Now, for someone, any person in this world, anywhere, can he or she claim that for such reason I cannot practice Krishna consciousness? Why? That maybe I'm dumb, I'm deaf, I'm physically blind, or I've got so many children. Can we find one person who can come with a genuine reason not to practice Krishna consciousness? I think not. And excuses could be millions. Yeah, endless excuses to not practice Krishna consciousness. So again, Srimad Bhagavatam, how live do I take it, and where do I want to fit myself? And the sooner I come to acceptance terms, that is only then can I see somewhat the beauty of Krishna, somewhat reality, somewhat come out of duality in life. When I take to acceptance, otherwise very difficult, very difficult. Otherwise, shastras are there, message is there, everything is there, but I am at a distance from them. I might know this shloka, karma ninidahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Knowing is also very good, but perhaps furthermore taking further step in terms of living by it, taking by it. How beautiful Prabhupada's Leelamrit, right? That Mayapur, Mahaprabhu's birthplace, very important for devotees. And perhaps even more important is chan- uh, glorifying the activities of Mahaprabhu. Okay, so on this note, maybe I will take a pause if there are any questions, comments, or clarification.
maybe you can answer them. But the Queen was saying affection should be allowed to overcome fruitive activity. And then she made a point about that. Then she said there's no need of a direct controller, but certainly you would need an indirect creation of the mechanism of karma. So it's referred to that God is both directly and indirectly. So he's indirect if you don't invoke his presence, and then the mechanism just takes place. And then at the end, she kind of foretells what's going to take place in the future, that children will be cruelly treated because of atheism, that the underpinning factor why the children are so abused today is because there's no God consciousness. So automatically then the children will be cruelly treated.
Yeah, very nice points. Very true. Very nice points. Krishna, until and chanting is what it is, invocation, right? Whatever we do in our life should be an invocation. It's not just like before starting Srimad Bhagavatam class doing an invocation. So until and unless I invite, say, want to be in a relationship with Krishna, then it won't come about. And then again, I will end up seeing so many varieties of material life only. And this is why if I do not invoke Krishna in my life, then I am at the disposal of karma. I'm at the disposal of time. I'm at the disposal of Maya, material nature. I'm at the disposal of conditioning and everything. Bhagavad Gita deals with 5 subject matters, right? Atma, Paramatma, soul, super soul, karma, nature, and time. Time also is saying that I'm at the shelter of Krishna, I'm the disposal of Krishna, I'm a servant of Krishna. Material nature also claims that I'm a servant of Krishna. Karma also claims that, okay, I'm under the shelter of Krishna. And Krishna also claiming that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is just us living entities. Now, who do we take shelter of? And the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to build no more karma, to create no more karmas, come out of this karmic understanding altogether. The whole process is how do I transfer my karmic account from the hands of Lord Brahma to the hands of Krishna. That is the whole process. And the only way to out of karma bandhan, karma entanglement, is entangling in a loving bond with Krishna. That is the only way out. Until and unless I completely fall in love with Krishna more than 100%, I can never come out of the law of karma. No. That is the only way. And this is why Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. And this human form of life, from now on till whatever breaths I have left, if I can dovetail myself in Guru Parampara in one line under the care and shelter of Guru and Gaurang and continue, then yes, then love will sprout out, will come out. Yes, Dr.
In the Prabhupada Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada was saying that the place of activities is more significant than the place of birth, in the sense of, Mayapur is also a place of activities as well. But so when you were talking about like the goal of life is to Trinadapi Sunichana, become fully engaged in mind, body, words, devoted to Krishna. And, but in terms of Srila Prabhupada's statement there about the activities of Krishna, so Srila Prabhupada does actually say that ISKCON is an incarnation of Krishna, or it's that the Sankirtan movement is like Krishna's activities in Kali Yuga. And just as when we're worshipping the deity, then we're very attentive to the different details. And if it's our responsibility to manage the deity worship, then if we see some impediment there in the deity worship, then it may appear to be an act of criticism, but it's actually an act of devotion to want to correct it. So I was just wondering if you can talk a little bit about our collective responsibility of members of ISKCON to actually perform that service now in Kali Yuga, and how do we, is it, can that, so there may appear to be blaming going on, but if the intention is to actually, if the intention is to make that vehicle of service to Krishna like a better vehicle for the devotees and for the non-devotees, then how do we know that we're in the proper line, and how do we avoid blaming in that circumstance?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, good practical question, but I would say I definitely fall short, and I'm in no position to, like, say how devotees worldwide and kind of ISKCON functions. I'm still very much learning, but in my little understanding, at a very general, say, my conditioned human level, few things. Well, on this thing, right? Significance of more of the birthplace and the more of Prabhupada's like significance of our activities of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So yes, for us sadhakas, na, Prabhupada said what? Work first, samadhi later. Something like that, right? First work, samadhi later. For us, distribution is the samadhi, book distribution is the samadhi, preaching is the samadhi. Yeah. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, diving, crying in Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita is never to be read. It is not a book, by the way. Chaitanya Charitamrita is not a book. Bhagavatam is not a book. Chaitanya Charitamrita is to cry. Is to cry. Bhagavatam also, to go in that eternal thing. That is our samadhi. And until and unless I tune in myself like that, I cannot go out and distribute nicely. I cannot go out and do anything nicely. The first thing is coming to this consciousness level, this coming to this subservient nature. So the answer to your question is developing a subservient mode. The best way to change someone, maybe I ask you a question, Javadvasi Prabhu, or someone in general, please. What is the best way to change someone? Yes, bro. To show by example, okay, but perhaps may not be the best way to change someone, even if by showing example. I may be showing by a good example, but still it doesn't budge the other person. May not change. Yes, Javad Prabhuji.
To reconnect them with the source of their existence.
To reconnect them with the source of their existence. Very powerful, very deep. But still, the person may not change. There is a scope. And it's not like a right or wrong answer sort of thing. I'm just any other thoughts? What is the best way? See, there are various ways of changing someone. Society, government, school, college, uni, everyone is trying to change someone many ways. But what is the best way? Yes, sir, Daksha. Sure. Same like by setting an example or change yourself or play the world, but still the other may not be changing. Like living in there's this right new bhaktas and bhakta leaders say so bhakta leader is very good. He's inspired changing, and but bhaktas may not be changing for that matter. Yes, Javad.
So, like pray and very strongly desire that they themselves come to the conclusion that they need to change themselves.
Very good. Again, very lofty, very philosophically, very high. Shall I say the best way to change someone is by giving love to that person. When I show my love, when I show my care, concern, direct level to that person. And this is something perhaps outside of philosophy also. Yeah? And this is perhaps practical also. When I try to touch the person's heart, when I genuinely care, concern, have that love for that person, and I don't need to impose love. Love is something can never be imposed. Love is something that I don't need to say or share or tell. My darling, I love you, sort of thing. No? Love is something. So when I really love for by loving the person will change. That is the way. Prabhupada changed, right? And by change we mean evolved. Change we mean excel, hmm? Upgradation. Yes, Prabhupada. Hmm. Yeah. All this is not to be in theory. Well, to begin with in life, everything begins with theory. So, theory is very essential, but theory is not the end of it. Next is coming to practicality of it. And such a painful thing to see 8 point whatever billion this world population. Many people do not even come to this theoretical understanding as well. So painful. Yeah, for someone, a saintly person, Prabhupada, was so painful to see people are taking birth and earning money, living their life and living the world. So us sadhakas have a great, great responsibility. And yes, bro.
Just to add a comment to the change, it's interesting that Lord Ramachandra actually exemplified in some way. He would go incognito into the society, just up as a like a general being and just listen what other people are saying about him and his way of doing things, and then he acted upon it. But he didn't punish the person who said, actually, in the sense of Sita Devi, he acted upon the feedback that he heard to improve the situation to the extent, that Sita Devi was punished. Obviously, there was many reasons for it. But, so he was proactively trying to understand what other people saying. Therefore, there is no need for blame or criticism, etc.
Mm. Lord Ram exemplified leadership qualities, right? Morality exemplified. And one has to be very, very extremely careful when it comes to kind of understanding the activities of the Lord. Yeah. Understanding Krishna's activities, it is beyond me. This is why when I associate and under the guidance of a pure devotee, only then I can understand the activities of Krishna. And I should never like try to kind of follow on the activities of Krishna, but we have to follow on the instructions and teachings. So love is the way, in answer to your question, Jawad Prabhuji. Uh, I find again, actually, love is the most practical thing in this world. Hmm. And irony is, love again is the most sought after or talked after, so much said, but it is very misunderstood. Because in this world, it's by and large at bodily platform only, right? So the answer to your question I find is when we can have more love, yeah, between devotees, when we can have more love, and that is like involves everything. If love is at the center of my life, then I would want to change myself, I would want to correct myself, trust, I would want to bring respect on everything. Yes, Alok Shah. Mm. Yes, yes. Prabhupada said, no, love means service. Devotees going out doing book distribution, it is their love. it is a bit misunderstood or misjudged by common person. Oh well, these them Hare Krishnas, they are not doing yoga, they are not doing samadhi, nirvikalp samadhi, this samadhi, that samadhi. Have you tried this? Oh, did you have that experience? Did you? Our devotees, those are going out in the winter and summer, wherever, distributing books, they are doing the highest samadhi. Say, one can get into real samadhi. Yes, Prana Bro.
Back in 66, then I probably gave a class, and one boy, at the end of the class, he said, well, I don't think I have to bow down to anybody. I feel we're all more or less equal. And Prabhupada said, very good, you have diagnosed your own disease. He says, you're thinking you don't have to bow down, but actually you're bound down to birth, death, old age, and disease. If you bow down to Krishna, then no more bowing down to this. And then the boy continued, he says, but I feel like this. Prabhupada says, you're feeling wrongly. So intention may be one thing, but there has to be some precedence with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Otherwise, however we feel, if it's going on emotions or feelings, then we may think we have a good intention, but if there's no precedent there in Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then we could be going down the wrong path. So that's always the checking point for us is Guru approving? Is it there in Shastra? Is there precedent where sadhus act in such a way? So this is something which is a reference for the devotees.
There's a book called Emotional Intelligence, and what's interesting about feelings is that we're not really educated in the West how to translate that we're feeling this way because of a need. So we just have the feelings, we don't look at the need that's behind the reason why we're feeling like that, we really, the reason why we have all these different feelings is because we're looking for love, and we don't feel we're getting the love. And then the feelings come up, and then we start to blame. Whereas if you think about it, it's a really counterproductive way of going about it. You want to try and strike up a loving relationship with someone by attacking them. It's like so counterproductive.
If we at all understand the teachings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, those jewels, his wisdom quotes, Prabhupada's, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, right, like the lacking in this world is God consciousness, that is lacking. So until and unless I am in a live relationship with Krishna, I cannot possibly of doing much good, say, in the world. So love is the thing to aim for. One love, one life, and so but love is the thing to aim for, and to say, actually, when we associate with a pure devotee of Krishna in disciplic succession, Guru and Gaurang, one should realize, one would find that this is Shastra say, Acharya say, that more love than in the heart of Krishna is, there is more love in the heart of a pure devotee of Krishna than there it is in the heart of Krishna. Because Krishna sees karma, Krishna sees ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamiyam. But a pure devotee of Krishna, if someone, a joker like me, say, comes to a pure devotee of Krishna, I do not understand a pure devotee of Krishna. Yet a pure devotee of Krishna is going to give me nothing less than pure love of Krishna. So the direct answer, Javad Prabhuji, to your question, what my understanding and beautiful question is, when I try to kind of see the love, sadhakas, disciples and a spiritual master, that relationship is the most sacred relationship. It's the most pure, it's the most loving relationship. And when I am in that relationship, it's a heart-to-heart connection. It is transmission, that is transmission. So when I can see that how pure love is there for Krishna, for me, in my, say, Gurudev's heart, in devotees and all, then change would come about. Then then the practice of Krishna consciousness will be another level, and it should be that proper Krishna consciousness in that sense. Yes, Raghunath Prabhuji.
Yeah, like this point about love, that reminded me when I was in Govardhaniko village. We were going to Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto. I actually mentioned it the other day. Diti was, in Kashyapa Muni, the story. Kashyapa Muni, he was engaged in meditation, and Diti wanted a child. So Kashyapa Muni kind of neglected to some extent his duty to care for her and to look after her, and kind of speaking about love. And actually, the devotees there in the course explain that the reason why she kind of seduced him, you could say, like a worst came out after her, because her need for a child was neglected. So like a divorce has came out of her. And in this story as well that we're looking at now, the queens, one queen was favored over the other queens. One queen was especially favored and looked after, and everything was fantastic. The king was caring for her. But there was another millions of queens that lacked that love. And as we read, that brought envy, anger, etc., due to neglect of the king. It brought out a lot of negative emotions out of the queens, to the extent that they poisoned the kid. So like that. So therefore, the king, although he received a child from one of the queen, he should not like neglected other queens over that specific queen, and that would have didn't kill the child, and the whole situation would have been a lot more positive and nice.
So it all boils down to love, and it all boils down actually understanding humility. Trinadapi Sunichena. If I have to advance in Krishna consciousness, I really need to pray, to cry out Sishtastkam. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Trinadapi Sunichena. I should pray, cry out to the deities. If I do not understand love, and if I do not understand Trinadapi Sunichena humility, I'm not understanding Krishna consciousness. No. I'm externally practicing, but I've not got the mood and the internal thing. So to close, love of Krishna is one thing, but the pure devotee of Krishna carries more love than what Krishna has in his heart, if I'm able to express it. And that is what, this is why Mahat Purush, everywhere, Mahat Purush, the association of a pure devotee is more valued, cherished than direct association of Krishna. So, us practicing sadhakas, we should align ourselves in subservient nature, in trying to associate with pure devotee and serve them, and then everything will come about. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Granthuraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.